All right.
Coach Greg Moore, Arizona Republic, good to see you. Philosophical question for you.
Yes.
Do you attack another team's strength, figuring that if you can beat it, then you'll break them? Or do you attack another team's weakness, thinking that you've got an advantage?
I think you always start out with the weakness part and try to find holes. You try to find formations, really, that you find soft spots in the defense, in the defensive structure, and I think that's where you start attacking. I think sometimes that you attack great players head on and don't let them use their athletic ability side to side in their lateral movement. And I think that sometimes you test guys and going right at them. And then, other times you like to read great players too, like if you're a zone read team and things like that.
Thank
you. Yep.
Coach Likens, Paul Richardson, Sports Cave.
Paul?
Looking at the film, tell a couple of things that you liked that you saw and a couple of things you think you want to work on and improve.
Sure. The things that I liked when I watched the film was Donovan West. Sometimes that you don't get the proper picture. You think something's going on that's really not. During the game, I had thought that he was getting beat in some certain things, and he wasn't. I watched the film, and I thought, for a freshman, for his situation of what he did, we couldn't have asked for anything better than what he did. That was absolutely amazing. I now have so much faith in that kid. I don't look at him as a liability or anything like that at all. I look at him as a plus, and I look at him as a future all-conference center. I really do. That was amazing. His understanding of leverage, his understanding of what we're trying to accomplish on that play, and his body position shows you how smart the kid is. So that was he's going to be a tremendous player, and he's doing a great job right now. So we're very, very, very excited. The thing that I would have liked to go back in time, obviously, and knew what they were going to do. I would have had just different things in the ball game. So I thought the game plan was extremely average, or whatever, if you want to say. I knew, and I mentioned to some of you guys after the game, somewhere around in the second quarter, I knew we were going to be in a little trouble, and it was going to be hard sledding the rest of the night because I didn't have in what I wanted to have in, what I saw, what we could attack. Now, we could have called those plays, but we hadn't worked on them in a week and a half, and I wasn't going to do that to Jaden. If that was Manny, I would have drawn some plays in the dirt, per se, not things we've never done before, but you know what I mean. I would have said, hey, let's go back. Hey, let's do this. I wasn't going to do that to Jaden, So that's where I felt like, just having a little bit better game plan. But it was hard to know the first game, you kind of don't know what they're going to line up. They can do whatever they want to do. You can't make them line up.
Chris Cartman, Son of a Source. Rob, in terms of just the freshmen with poise, communication, execution assignments, like all of that type of stuff, what did you think about how they did?
I thought they did a great job because you had a true freshman handling the ball to start every single play in that game, if you think about that. Okay, whether it was a Donovan who always snapped it, but then the quarterback, whether it was Ethan or whether it was Jaden. So many things that could have gone wrong, and there was, all the snaps were decent. There was one high snap. There was, we didn't put the ball on the ground in any form of exchange between quarterbacks, running backs. We had, Ethan coming in cold, which is not easy, off the sideline and coming in, running 4 or 5 plays, and then you're asked to snap the ball, read it, and run, and then read it at the same time. There's just so many little things going on there, and we executed very well. So I was very pleased with those 3 guys in that area.
Rob Hodrabino, Devil's Digest. Herm said a few minutes ago that even if you were able to really create some distance with you and Kent State early in the game, that he wanted Jaden Daniels to play the entire game just because he was a true freshman. But in an ideal world, would you like to get other players involved, different looks?
I never think about that. If we ever have to play a backup quarterback, we just live with it in that game, and then you move on after that week. I kind of learned that from Hal Mummy, Mike Leach. You let the first team guy get all the reps, man. You go with that guy, and you don't play scared. You don't play thinking that he's ever going to get hurt, and I just can't live my life that way. So we just let the first team guy get all the reps, and and then just, as the situation hits, I never think about it in a game. I never think about it. Everywhere I've ever been, if there's ever been a conversation during the week when you play a supposedly lower level team than you are, and somebody goes, hey, if we get ahead, I just go, well, there you go, kiss of death, great job. I get upset, I really do, because then you're like trying to drive the last couple seconds to kick a field goal. I remember I was at Mississippi State, I was a walk-on, right, and we're playing Louisiana Tech at Mississippi State, and I remember my position coach coming up to me going, oh, Likens, we're going to get you in the game this week. We were driving like with a minute left in the fourth quarter to kick a field goal to win the game. After that, I was like, I'll never, ever say that again. Never have those conversations again. So that never, honestly, it never even crosses my mind.
Coach, what's it mean to you guys as a program that Manny made the Packers?
Oh, yes, I was so excited. Talked to him yesterday, and you know what I love about the kid? I said, congratulations, man, I heard the good news. He goes, good news? Like, in his mind, he probably thinks he ought to be starting. I don't know. You know what I'm saying, though? But there's like a kind of like the quarterback at Oklahoma when he was getting interviewed yesterday, and he was like, yeah, I guess it was okay. We have a standard. And that's what I love about Manny. Manny has this standard and this vision in his mind where he should be, and he's a super, ultra competitive and confident kid. And so, but to us, we're so excited for him, and we just think he's scratching the surface. I've always said this, if I wish I would have had him for like 3 or 4 years in a row, I think you guys would have seen a totally different, Manny. So we're excited and proud for him. And
Sacramento State, I guess the strength of their team is the offense. You have any concerns about trying to outscore these guys, or does that factor into your thinking at all?
Well, you start thinking about that. Whenever a team scores 77 points, I don't care who they played, man, that's hard to score 77 points on air. Because somebody's going to screw it up, and for them to do what they did, that's you start, the ears pop up and go, uh-oh, what, and Herm, he was at home and his wife said they scored 77. He goes, what? No, they didn't. That's impossible. No, but they did. So yeah, you start thinking about that. Hey man, this could turn into something, you don't ever know. But we feel really good about our defense here, and so we'll just kind of see what happens. We're prepared for that type of game at any point in time because of how we practice and the tempo that we run.
Doug Haller, The Athletic. Rob, Donovan played well, but where overall the offensive line, how did you assess them as a group, and where do they need to make the most progress going into week 2?
Communication. Yeah, we had some communication errors. They did some things that we, not like crazy stuff, but we just hadn't worked on. What happens is when you go against the defense like ours, it hurts you in some ways in camp, but it helps you. It helps you with blitzes. It helps you with, being. You won't see anything for the rest of the year that's going to like, oh man, guys running all over the place. But what it does too is it's so different that when you go into your first game, you only have like a week and a half to prepare for that next team. So all you can do. You only got a week and a half to prepare. We got to prepare for what they do the best. And going into that game, we felt like what they did best was run a 50 front and all of that. And then they came out in a 4-2 cover 1 most of the game. And we haven't worked on that, And we worked on it a little bit because it was about 5% of their defense last year. They only did it much on third downs. But then they came out in first down, and then they tilted the nose. They did some things that we just – we had to wait till that series was over, get them off on the sideline, fix it, send them back out. Then they'd come back out in the 50, back to what they were doing. So they did a really good job keeping us off balance and in that way. So I can't remember what your question was, man. I was just going and then I forgot. What was it? Oh, what did we? Yeah. So. Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So could you comment a little on Eno's kind of determination to get 100 yards, even though he had to go in the locker room and come back out, and then a little bit on Ayuk and just the caliber of game that he had?
Right. I was very proud of Eno. Eno has really grown up in the leadership area. There was some times when he was a little bit younger, he'd get a little impatient, but he was not. He was tremendous on the sideline. He never got anxious. He never worried. But he is competitive, and he wants to get those 100 yards. That means a lot to him, and so that's why we kept him in there. But he was, had some cramping going on and all that stuff, so that was hard for me. We had to take him out, bring another guy in. So that was kind of tough on him, but I'm proud that he came back and he's competitive and finished the game. And then, Brandon is just – I've always, felt like Brandon is just a couple plays of turning this thing and becoming a breakout type player for us. And you saw what he could do when he has the ball in his hands. He's a tremendous player with the ball in his hands. And I think what you're going to see as the year goes on is you're going to see that he's a complete wide receiver too. He's a really good route runner. I thought overall our offense, that we need to get in game shape. I didn't think we were in game shape. I thought we got too tired, too quick, and that made us look a little slower than I'd like to look, and we had to do a lot of substituting and all of that stuff. So we've really worked on that the last couple of days. We've run them pretty good, trying to get them in shape. But I think once Brandon gets into that maximum shape and that game shape, he's even going to get better and make more plays. We really do.
Rob, going back to the O-line, can you speak to the difficulty of having to replace somebody up front, just a unit that relies so much on the cohesiveness, and you mentioned the communication, just
Right.
how difficult it is to replace somebody up front?
Sure, yeah. When you lose somebody late like that, or you lose them in the game, double teams, especially on a lot of the zone stuff that we do, that's a communication. That's a relationship that those two players have. They learn how to hold on to the first initial block and then who's coming off to the linebacker. That is like a big thing with offensive linemen, combo blocks. And then when all of a sudden this guy's new, that combo block is completely different. And so that was, what I was proud of, Donovan, and proud of Cole as well. He's over there at left tackle helping out, making some of the calls. We're over there at left tackle to help out. I was really pleased with that area. We had just a couple miscommunications, but I think that the relationship was kind of screwed up a little bit after we had to move some guys around, and I think you saw that in the game when we gave up some negative yards and we gave up some penetration up in the backfield.
Rob, just the other freshmen that played, Curley, Pearsall, Matthews.
Yep.
How did that go relative to your expectations?
I thought Ricky Pearsall exceeded my expectations. I thought he was very physical. He threw his body around. He was blocking, and he's just a tough kid. So I saw that in him. Some guys respond in games a little bit different than others. I saw Jordan Curley's speed out there. It was like, to me, I don't know about you guys, but it was like obvious that he's one of the fastest guys we have. So I saw that. He made a few freshman first game, mistakes, which that happens to all of them. All right, you expect that. That's why I said Jordan kind of exceeded my expectations, because I didn't see that. He didn't play like it was his first game. He played like kind of a vet. So I was proud of that. Nolan, I thought one thing that we all thought about Nolan when he got here was he was a tremendous athlete. He was really going to help us in the pass game. But would he be that physical presence that we need at that position at times? And you saw him as the game went on get more and more confident. The touchdown, the drive right after to start the third quarter. If you go back and watch the play right before the touchdown, him and Donovan drove their guys about 5 or 6 yards back into the end zone and knocked him on the ground, and then he kind of got up, and you could see he was like, okay, yeah, he's feeling himself a little bit there, and that's what we're looking for him. So we're looking for him to build on that this week.
Coach, we've been
Yes,
talking
sir.
a lot about the offensive line and Donovan playing well, but there was a lot of pressure, right? 5 sacks, and now a lot of that came from the edges. Was that because you were protecting Donovan inside? Just square that up for me so I know what I'm looking at.
Yeah, when you see that, and I told the guys it was going to be different. When you get in camp and you're a tackle and you're used to going pretty much, Cole Cabral's gone against like the same pass rusher so they know their moves, they can anticipate, they got all of that. And same with Steve over there. And I told him this is going to happen. When you get in a game and you get a totally new pass rusher with different moves, different style, you don't know what to expect. Man, it's hard. It's hard. And, I was caught off guard. I think our tackles would tell you, man, I wish I'd have played better. They'll be the first ones to tell you. We did give up pressure on the outside and off the edges. There was a couple times that Jaden did not step up in the pocket. He needs to understand that the 8.5 to 9 yard range back there is the hit zone for quarterbacks, and he hung in the hit zone too long, and he should have stepped up in the pocket. And then, you know, there were times where the edge rusher came and then came up underneath and made him bounce outside right there. And they lost contain several times. I'm sure they're watching film. They're not real happy about losing contain. So it might have looked like we got a lot of pressure, but really, I don't know if that's what they wanted to do either. They lost contain and let us run for first downs, you know, so that helps out sometimes. But I'm looking for those guys to have a better week this week and just getting a game under their belt. Cole getting a game under his belt back again at tackle. I think that was tough on him. I think that kind of surprised him a little bit, I think, you know, but I'm looking for him to be better.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.